Welcome. Today we'll look at sensible sexuality. Reflection. Who is the right person to teach your children about sex? Today we will explore spiritual perspective about sexuality, the early years, the fact of life, sex, delight, or disaster. My parents never spoke to me about sex, not a word that I can remember. My total sex education was a 15-minute talk from my primary school headmaster in his study just before I left school. It was such an awkward situation that my mind froze. I only wanted it to end so I could escape. All through my teenage years, I have tried to hide my ignorance and embarrassment. All of us as parents want our children to grow up with positive, godly, balanced appreciation of their sexuality. But many of us feel hopelessly inadequate when it comes to talking about sex. Traditionally, African culture had systems of education through initiation ceremonies or through designated family members such as aunties and uncles or grandparents to talk about sex. Here are some questions for parents to reflect through. In our culture, how did children traditionally learn about sex and sexuality? How did we ourselves learn? How are our children learning today with the internet? How would we like them to learn? What are we going to do about it? How a young person first hears about sex will color their attitudes for a long time. He or she may begin to think of sexuality as something dirty, secret, and forbidden. It is our responsibility and privilege as parents to take an opportunity to teach our children the correct facts of healthy perspective on sex. We may want to ask relatives for help or school to provide detailed scientific information, but our children have been entrusted to us by God to bring them up in His ways. Sensible sexuality is not only telling children the facts of life, the physical story of where our babies come from. A much greater part has to do with values and attitudes about men and boys and girls as people God, the Creator, is making from having made us male and female. Men in the making love conquest. They are adventurous, come alive in the field. We do not expect boys to love sitting down there and just talking. They love hunting, fishing, climbing mountains and trees. He is born to fix things and to explore and to score points. On the other hand, women are homemakers. They love beauty. They value commitments and take friendship very deeply. By nature, women have more friends than men. Men confide in fellow men less and instead spend time doing projects. The adolescent years bring onset of puberty, the time when a young person becomes sexually mature. The flood of sexual hormones is intense and continues to build throughout his early 20s. It is a period of great confusion, curiosity, fear, and excitement. Everything in the young person's body is gearing up for sexual activity, and desire is great. Begin talking about sex, don't wait. Children today are maturing faster and physically and intellectually due to human knowledge that has exploded in the recent years. God created us male and female and intended us to be attracted to one another. God gave each person an endowment of physical forces that enable him or her to live and grow. Psychologists call them drives. We must warn young people that drives don't mean to begin sex. Although the sex drive is God-given and very good, it must be controlled just like any other drives that God has given us. Teach children that true love waits. Jen, a teenager, returns home with excitement saying, I met a nice boy, Malcolm is his name. The parent fumes saying, just watch him, boys are only interested in one thing. You literally close the lines of communication to know how you should to know about your children's intimate life. You can say, great, I'm sure excited. Leave communication door open and plan to advise later. Camila is on the table with mom and dad and she pops up with a talk saying, I think men and women should first live together before marrying. Dad explodes saying, that's silly talk. You do not know the pain of cohabiting. You have just closed the open door to talk about purity before marriage. Be a good parent and listen as your teenagers talk.